For more on the story, we are joined on the line from Washington by Marc Gopin from George Mason University. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Morella.
Let's talk a little bit, Marc, about fallout for Abbas. He's getting that hero's welcome today, but there could be some fallout from him from the Israeli side after that appeal to the world for help. What kind of trouble could he face in the weeks and months ahead?
Well, there's pressure within Prime Minister Netanyahu's right-wing coalition in Israel to punish the Palestinians in some way for embarrassing them at the United Nations. Foreign Minister Lieberman, with his Russian party, is particularly interested in some form of punishment. So there may be consequences, but on the other hand, in some ways, this is a major political victory where the Israelis have no interest in provoking a confrontation, and the Israel Defense Forces and the PA Defense Forces are being very, very careful about not allowing any kind of escalation in violence at this point. So in some ways, he's gotten away with quite a political victory with minimal consequences at this point.
Well, my understanding is one of the things that was being discussed or considered or put on the table was stopping the payments that go from the border collections by Israelis to the Palestinians, which amounts to something like $100 million a month.
Right, and
but if they did that, there would be consequences.
People who would lobby for that, but at the same time, there's also money coming from the United States Congress. But all of this would have extremely negative consequences for Palestinian security, and Palestinian security apparatus is vital for Israeli security. And there's been very close cooperation, despite what's in the news, on security matters. So I'm not sure that they'll be so willing to dismantle that and use that form of punishment so quickly. There's going to be a lot of rhetoric here to dismantle things in an effort to have some sort of retribution, but it's not clear. It's not clear that that will happen. And we don't know what the other states may do, like the Arab states may step in. Saudi has been stepping in enormously in Egypt and other places in this wild atmosphere of the Arab Spring that the Palestinians just declared, that Abbas just declared in the West Bank.
Well, world leaders listened to his appeal on Friday, many applauding his remarks, but realistically, what can and will other countries do if they do anything?
Well, I don't think they'll do it. I mean, the next step will be to see how this winds its way through various committees, and at what point they skip that process and simply appeal to the United Nations General Assembly. If they do go to the General Assembly, they will get a majority that at least approve in a symbolic form of a Palestinian state. That too will be a powerful political moment, but it won't be a legal moment, as it were. So you know, it's just further and further pressure, and those countries will, I think, still be there for that. As far as anyone stepping in to support Palestine in a more profound way, financially and otherwise, I don't see what's on the horizon. Like I said, there's many things going on behind the scenes in terms of support for the Arab Spring by some countries. And we'll see whether there's an improvement in their support of Palestine, which has been flagging until now. But I do think that this step has raised Abbas's profile enormously in the Gulf and other places.
All right, so, Marc, unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Take care.